Hello and welcome to the Ditch the Dogma live show. I am so excited that you're joining us here live on the Ditch the Dogma live show. Today, I have a guest, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Dawn. Dawn is a woman who spent 7 days with me on retreat. And we're going to talk a little bit about that retreat experience, what it meant to her, why she decided to come. And we're going to talk about it because I think it's something that you might be interested in doing. Maybe you've been on a retreat or you're planning a retreat. So we're going to talk a lot about a lot of different aspects of what it means to be on retreat, how to make a retreat your own, and then how to take that retreat experience with you when you get home. So, without further ado, I am going to roll my intro, tell you a little bit about me, and get this baby going. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paula Marie Davis, and I am the creator of Ditch the Dogma. It's a website, a platform, a live YouTube show, a program. It's so many things that are so close to my heart. So I'm so excited that you're joining me live today, and you're going to learn a lot. We're going to talk about what it means to be seeking a bespoke, a personalized approach to well-being, and you're going to get more than just my perspective. You're going to get the thoughts and the musings of a woman who spent 7 days with me on retreat not too long ago. I opened up my home. I have a beautiful home in the suburbs of Chicago with a wonderful pond and wooded area and an 1,100 square foot studio with a bunch of different equipment that kind of helps women reconnect to connect with their bodies, to connect with themselves, to connect with spirit. We touch on so many things, not just movement, but also how to choose nourishing foods that love us back, and our breath and our thoughts and journaling, all the stuff. And I put all of that under an umbrella that I called Seek. In fact, I created a methodology called the Seek method. And so you're going to learn a little bit about that today. You're going to learn about the 4 pillars of Seek. And to give you the best example of what it means to go on a seeking journey, I recently heard this metaphor and I loved it so much that I'd like to share it with you. So I want you to imagine that you're on a train and that you're on a track. A track that maybe you didn't get to choose. I totally believe that we are put here. We are born with a stamp on our souls on what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it, and the mission that we're supposed to accomplish while we're here. And I believe that God, Spirit, whatever you call the one and only, the one who sent us, the creator of it all, I believe that when he or she, or however you identify God, right? That when God, we'll just use God, it makes it simple. But when God put you here, when you were created, each little hair, each little everything, and you landed here, you had a mission and you were put on a track. And I believe we are all on the right track. There is no wrong track. I've made mistakes in my life and I thought, damn, where did I get off? How did I veer over here? I ended up on the wrong track. And as I spend every day of my life, every breath that I'm provided and given as a gift every morning, I realize over and over and over again that I am on the right track. But it's like any travel destination. There's multiple ways to get to your destination, right? No matter the journey, there's a straight line to get where you want to go, or there's those messy ones that kind of wrap around. Excuse me. Maybe they're more scenic. Maybe they're longer. Like if you've been on a plane recently, maybe you had layovers, right? Layovers that you met new people and you loved the layover, or a layover where you're like, oh my God, get me moving. I am so ready to get out of here. But either way, you're on the right track. So the metaphor that I heard about the track was this idea that you're either in the engine, okay? You're there leading it. You're full of courage and resilience. You're not afraid of what the future brings. And you are sitting up in that front car and you're like besties with the conductor. You're involved in it. You're seeing everything in front of you. The other option is you're back in the caboose, basically, kind of in the cheap seats. And you're living your life back there, letting the conductor who's ever sitting up in front, kind of like a puppeteer, right, to kind of pull the strings. Now, here's the deal, we only have so much time. Some of us, I hope that I will live into my hundreds. I want to see my children grow up and their children grow up. And that's why well-being is so important to me, is that longevity component. And so I'm thinking, you know what? I'm almost 60. I might have 4 good decades left, right? But time is a gift, and we don't know when it's going to be taken. So it's not so much that we fall off the track and we end up in some direction. It's more like we're sitting in that caboose and we're taking it easy. And maybe we're even checking out. Maybe we're numbing in the back of the caboose with, a martini. I don't know, whatever, or a bag of cookies, whatever your thing is, right? And so what Seek invites you to do is to hop up with the conductor, to get in charge of the engine and really pull that engine forward, because that's what that main engine is doing. It's pulling it, right? The caboose in the back is just waggling along and it's just there for the ride. So I want you to think of well-being as a journey with a destination of longevity, but also that destination can be a straight shot or we can be a little lost. What's really cool about Seek is you get an opportunity to not only sit in the with the conductor up front, but you get to personalize it to meet your needs right where you are. And that's kind of where we're going to start now. I'm going to introduce you to Dawn, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what she knew or didn't know about Seek when she decided to come on retreat with me. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty, the things that she liked, maybe a few things that she didn't like or she wished were a little bit different. And then, like all retreats, they come to a close. And you know what? We don't want to spend the money on retreat, come and do all the things, and then go at home and be like, shit, how do I get back? Like, I don't have all the fancy equipment that Paula had, or now I'm back with my husband and my kids and my job. I can't give myself all the time that I gave myself at Paula's. So how do I find those pockets of time that will really suit me, my life, and that mission? Because we were all created with life's purpose. And that's why I believe I want as many women to jump on the message that I have about longevity, because we can do amazing things. And when we are well, when we have energy, when we sleep better, when we're more patient, everything gets better, not only in our personal lives, but also in our entrepreneurial lives, all aspects of life. So I am going to bring Dawn to the stage here. Dawn, welcome, welcome. My phone keeps beeping. I thought I turned it off. So I'm going to hit that ringer again to silence it. And then I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage and tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up going on retreat with me.
Yeah, so hi. Thank you so much for Paula for inviting me to be on your show. This is very exciting. This is my first live ever, and I'm a little nervous, but Paula, you make me feel so comfortable. So I thank you for that. So my name is Dawn Huddleston. I am a vice president of a women networking association. I am also a freelance project manager, and I have a successful Etsy shop, and I have a family. I have a daughter who is very involved in sports, 3 different sports at this time. So she's a big priority in my life. I have a loving husband, and I have a couple of grown sons. And I met Paula through the networking organization that we both belong to, and something about her just sparked my curiosity, because I feel as if I've been a lifelong seeker, but I felt like I was at the point where I was missing a guide, and I was missing a community that was interested in seeking and learning about their well-being. And I think those were the two components that were missing, my missing ingredients. Because, I've tried many things, I've explored different paths, and I always end up getting stuck. And I have no one to bounce ideas off, thoughts off. I work remotely. And I also live very rurally. So I'm not close to an intact community. So those are some of the struggles that I'm working with right now that I'm trying to overcome by making these connections with Paula.
Well, thank you. I feel privileged that we were able to go on retreat together. Um, Dawn mentioned that I met her in a networking group, and there's something about, and this is a really special networking group. This is a networking group that really focuses on the idea of networking with intention. And so when you meet women under those circumstances, you know that, it's going to ignite something. You've got women there that want to support other women. But it's really an opportunity also to kind of get to know like a woman deep down, to like her authentic core, her real self. So I met Dawn. She was attending a conference that I was attending, and it was our first time. It was about 4 months ago. And I really learned there how women can support other women. And so if, I know this isn't a networking show, but if you are a woman who has a dream, who, wants to, already has a business or has a dream to have a business, or maybe you're someone like me and you have lots of ideas, lots of thoughts, and you're like, you know what? I want to be a thought leader. I want to make change into the world. A really great place to do this would be the networking group that Dawn is a part of. Dawn, why don't we just, if you don't mind, could we just take a couple of minutes and could you tell us a little bit about WISOS, what it means to you, and then we'll just a little ad for WISOS, just because it means so much to both of us, and then we'll get on with our wellness conversation.
Yes. So the networking organization is called WISOS, and that stands for Women Entrepreneurs Secrets of Success. And I started working as a freelance project manager for the founder of the organization in 2020, and immediately caught my attention because I was an entrepreneur. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. And here was a community of women that the heart and soul of this community was about supporting each other, lifting each other up, and um, being authentic and getting to know the woman behind the business, and not just trying to sell, trying to push their product or push their service, but really building those friendships, those relationships, collaborations. That just sung to my heart, because as women, many of you will understand that sometimes we kind of sabotage each other or sabotage ourselves. And I don't know if it's the way that we're raised or conditioned, but there seems to be a battle sometimes about being authentic and open and trusting each other and lifting each other up. And I think that once we can get beyond that and begin to lift each other up, I think this world would be a very different place. And I'm very passionate about that mission, as you can see.
Yes. You know what? Just to talk a little bit about this, one of the things that I think is so important about WISOS and about networking, I came into networking a long time ago. My business has kind of had its evolution, okay, to where it is today. And initially, it was more about like, where can I go to sell my stuff? Okay, I had oils that I was selling. I was a clinical aromatherapist. I had a studio. I did one-to-one sessions, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to networking to get clients. And that never really resonated with me. In fact, they have this thing. If you guys do networking, you know what I'm talking about. It's your 30-second elevator pitch. And every time I had to give this elevator pitch, I was like a blubbering fool. I just couldn't get it out. And it took me years to realize that I couldn't get it out because I really wasn't being me. And in the course of the last couple of years, and I think, relaxing a little bit about what success looks like. I mean, like I have 25 followers here and I'm excited to get online. I'm excited to do this. So it's not so much about the numbers and how somebody defines success as much as it is about me moving forward with the message that I want to share. And I've got 25 people now that I didn't have listening to me, didn't have in conversation with me, that are now saying, hey, you know what? She's got some good ideas and maybe we should get into conversation with her. That to me was the success. And so networking for me became this opportunity on how can I introduce more women to women on my live show. It wasn't about how can I get the woman at the networking meeting to buy my stuff or to come on my retreat or to go to my studio. It was like, I want women who resonate with me, who align with me, who our beliefs are similar. And then I want to promote them. I want to send them into the world that I'm building and know that they've kind of like got, not that a stamp of Paula's approval means anything, but it's just like we like people that we're friends with, right? And we share our friends with other people. And so for me, networking became about shared resources. It became about collaboration and collaboration, not in a, I'll buy mine if you'll buy, I'll buy yours if you'll buy mine sort of way. But like, how can we change the world? I think women, one of the reasons that longevity means so much to me, and it's just, well, I have a history of Alzheimer's in my family. And I wanna be a sage. I wanna be a woman that, that 80-year-old lady who's, like, sitting in the rocking chair, and the people are sitting at her feet, and the grandchildren come, and the children come, and they're looking for, "Oh, grandma, what do I do for this, or what do I do for that?" From a health perspective. I want to have that. I want to have my faculties. I want to know who the heck I am. And then I want to be there for them when life gets crazy, because Lord, has life been crazy lately. And I didn't have a parent that I could go to and say, what do I do? How do I do this? So I think women in general, we have so much to give to this world and so many changes that we're capable of making, that when we come together, no problem is too challenging or too big for us. And that's why, I don't mind talking about WESOS in a conversation when we're talking about wellness, because we're talking about community. No matter what happens on retreat, no matter what happens in a gym or wherever, wellness, when it really becomes well plus being, we do that in community. So thank you for the work you do for WESOS. And glad that I met you through this organization. And I think that your commitment to community and to other women and that uprising that we keep talking about, that we keep saying, that women need to come together and do this, you're on the forefront of that and you're making space for us. And so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So enough networking talk, because I'm sure people are listening saying, okay, we get it. You love this networking group. I'll leave a link in the show notes if networking is something that you'd like to do. It's a national organization and you can learn some more about it. So Dawn, when you decided to come on retreat, what were you thinking? Like, I'm kind of foreshadowing here. What were you thinking retreat was going to be like? And give me a little bit of what your expectations were and what you were hoping to get out of it. And we'll see then if you did, or if your perspective was altered a little bit after we spent some time together.
I actually tried to be very intentional of having an open mind. And I think that, I've always had my end goal of any wellness activities I do be about losing weight and becoming fit, and thinking that my happiness would flow from that. So that hasn't worked in the past at all. And I've tried for decades with that approach. So I decided that is not my priority. My priority is not losing weight. My priority is feeling good in my spirit, feeling like I'm making the right decisions for myself, for my body, for my mind, and then for my family. And part of that was realizing that I had my priorities in the wrong order. So my priorities had
Can you
always, yeah.
take us back a bit? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What do you mean by that? Because you know that I'm like not the diet lady, and I'm not about like weight loss is something that we get to, it's just a side effect of doing the right things. It's not our direction. So explain to me how your priorities kind of shifted a little bit.
So my priorities have always been throughout my career, they were career success and money first. That was my ultimate goal. That's what I'm trying to attain. That's the top of my pyramid. And then secondary was my family, because I believe that in order to support my family, I had to have the money, the
Mm.
success.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then after that was my civic duty, which I hold a very strong belief in. And then the wellness was pretty much the lowest priority. And it's taken years of seeking myself and coming into dead ends, trying it that way, that I realized I need to flip it around.
Mhm.
Let's make wellness my number one priority. And it's similar to a Buddhist type of thinking, that if you take care of yourself and shower yourself with love and attention and do the things that you need to do for yourself spiritually and physically, then you'll have the strength and the resilience to take care of the family around you, and then the friends around you, and then the community and the world. And that's the approach that I want to take. And I felt after meeting Paula that she would align with those goals for me. And I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, you know what? You said something I think is really important is that, like, I use the word seek very specifically because I used to think I was seeking when I was trying all the one size fits all things that are out there. I'm like, okay, this diet didn't work. So now I'm going to read 4 new books. I'm going to seek the answer, okay, in 4 more diets. And, I might drop 21 pounds in 21 days. In fact, I have to own the fact that I used to help women do that. That was part of my journey to get to where I'm at today, was learning a lot about diets, and was this component, like for a lot of women, that it was about being a particular size. In fact, I have a story and we'll share this in a little bit where I did all the things, got to the particular size, and then I was really sick, which really threw me for a loop. I was positive I was on the wrong track. No, I was on the right track. I just was taking a really long way to get to where I needed to go. So we have to kind of look at seeking a little bit differently. It's not this idea of trying on for size. Okay. This idea that we're going to read the books, we're going to go to the gyms, we're going to try this trend and that trend, and all these kind of one size fits all solutions, to really backtracking, like you said, from that Buddhist perspective, this idea that I can be all things when I am focusing on me and in a holistic way, my heart, my body, my mind. And then yeah, I can knock it out in my career, and I can bring home the bacon. I'm old enough for that commercial, for any of you who are old. I can bring home the bacon da, 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 and fry it up in a pan. And we can do all of that. But we don't want to lose ourselves, like you were talking about, this idea that we're go, 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 and then our health and our well-being is at the bottom. So seeking for me became like like even now when I'm reading a book and in the word, the seek is in the sentence, I'm like, I get lit up just to see the word and how it's being used. Because I think that how we speak and the words that we speak into ourselves and the words we speak into our lives and to the ones we love really, really, really matter. And that when we pull out the Webster's dictionary and get that real understanding of what it means to seek something, it means to like literally draw from within and find something. It's, for some people, it's religion. It's, it could be politics, I guess. That's not my thing. But seeking for me is connected to my life's mission. What am I seeking that's going to help me be the person that I was created specifically to be on this earth to get done what I'm supposed to get done? And when I'm focusing on that and I'm seeking that, then the successes in the other areas of my life kind of fall into place. But to do that, I have to be awake. I have to be present. I have to be listening. I have to have self-awareness. I mean, like, ugh, that is hard. It's way easier to grab a diet book, dive into it for 6 weeks, seek a new process, and think that we've journeyed. The other thing too is with seeking, in my opinion, there is no destination other than your life's purpose. We're constantly moving forward. Our lives are evolving, our lives are changing, our circles are expanding. And the same thing with wellness. Any given day, I could get a diagnosis. Something could happen in my family where I have to put my time and my resources towards somebody else. And then that changes how I seek my own well being. But I can't just toss it to the side and forget about it. So I love that when you came here with this idea that you really wanted to seek. Am I correct in suggesting that you wanted to seek well-being for you, for Dawn? Did you have ideas, like you said, things you used to focus on diets? Were there any other things that you thought were the keys to well-being, and then you came on retreat and learned more about the seek process and found out that maybe it was a little bit different than what you had thought?
So I have always approached, reflecting on it, I've always approached my wellness very one dimensionally. So it was the quick fix, it was the hack, it was what is the quickest, easiest way to approach something so that I would have more time for my career, for my businesses. And uh, I think that was a wrong approach. It never felt right. It felt like I was taking shortcuts, and um, it didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel like I was really caring for myself. It was like surface. Like I know I have, there was one point in my life, 15 years ago, where I had extremely high blood pressure. I was very overweight. I had psoriasis. I had asthma. I was on tons of medications. I've been in chronic pain for decades. So I was on pain medications, blood pressure medications. And at that time, I thought that was the solution, but that didn't work. So then it was, I'm going to cut out all oils. I'm going to cut out all animal products. I'm going to just eat plant-based. I'm going to um, uh, avoid fluoride. I'm going to try to get all the toxins out of my environment. Those were all just like surface things. And yeah, a lot of those worked. I lost a lot of weight. I'm healthier than I was. But I just approached them with my brain instead of my heart. And I feel like I missed out on a lot, missed out a lot on the journey, um, of understanding why those things were important and how I was doing them wrong or how I was doing them right. Because a lot of it, I thought I was doing it right. And now I'm understanding that I was approaching it completely wrong. And so now I'm trying to unravel some of the mindsets that I had developed along the way. And that's really exciting for me. That's that I'm actually ready to take the time to to do it with my heart instead of my brain. And um, yeah.
Well, that makes me so happy because I really do believe that, diets are in our heads. They're head work. It's a lot of picking and choosing what's good and what's bad, and what's clean and what's dirty. there's not a lot of heart in it. And we all know stories, especially women, not so much with the dudes in our lives, but we all know women who, had something that was really challenging in their lives and they overcame it. And then all of a sudden they lost weight and they had all this energy and they were sleeping so much better. I mean, there's definitely a component that goes well beyond our hearts. I mean, well beyond our heads and into our hearts. And living a heart-centered life, I think, is really important. And bringing a heart-centered perspective to wellness, I think, is huge. So, was there anything in particular that, and I don't know if you'll remember, but that you were like you were shocked that something that we did or something that we talked about that you were like, oh my God, I never thought that, but that hearing it, it was like you knew it all along. You just needed to have me or somebody else kind of, jog your memory about it. Anything come to mind or
So there were a lot of aha moments,
okay.
and those aha moments are particular to me and my physiology and where I am with my mindset and my body. And I think that understanding that it isn't a one size fits all,
Mhm.
that I need to listen to my body, and also the value of biometrics, whether it's glucose reading or a gadget to help you monitor your sleep, um, your heart rate variability, and learning all of those tools and what those really mean. That was really eye opening because I could see
So
what
let
my
me
body
inter
was doing.
let
Yeah.
me interrupt for a minute. So if on a scale from 1 to 10, before you came on retreat, let's say 1 is very minimally in communication with your body and 10 is 100% in communication with your body. Was there a big difference? Were you at a lower number when you arrived and a much higher number by the time you left? Could you speak to that?
I would say that I was probably at a 2. That's the lower end of being in
Mhm.
connection with my body, and a lot of that, centered around, my chronic pain, and when I experience pain, I just shut down, and, um, not dealing, um and basically that's not listening to my body. That's just operating under fear. So, being able to embrace that, the pain is there for me to listen to and recognize, and also understanding, when I'm feeling, tired or, hungry or, just weird sensations that are going on in my body. Now I'm listening to them, but I'm also looking again at my biometrics to see if there's something that I can, like, figure out if I'm eating something correctly or eating the wrong thing. So I would say now I'm like so aware and not overwhelmed aware, excited that I have some tools now to take charge instead of just guessing.
That's great. So I guess let me summarize it a little bit. I think what, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was able on retreat, I introduced Dawn to some things, some numbers, some science, some facts that she wasn't 100% aware of. Maybe she had some knowledge of it, or she had a little bit of knowledge, but didn't necessarily ever see the numbers for herself. So we paid attention to heart rate variability. We paid attention to glucose. And then we paid attention to breath and sleep and movement. All of these things talk through the body to us. And so it's not uncommon, myself included, that when we're stressed out and life is crazy and we have lots of challenges, that the last thing that we're listening to is our bodies. And our bodies, they whisper until they scream, right? And then when they scream, that's where we see lots of pain. physically, emotionally, spiritually, that's where we see skin rashes and reactions. And like I had a point in my life where I was literally covered in cystic acne, covered in it. And yes, there was a physiological component to it, but there was also there were so many other pieces beyond the fact that my gut needed to be cleaned up and that I was under a lot of stress and that I was putting a lot of commercial products on my face and not paying attention to the toxic chemicals and things I was using on my face. So that was kind of aggravating, exacerbating the whole thing. But our body is talking to us when our nails talk to us. Our nails tell us what's going on in our body. Our poop. I love a good poop conversation. I can gross anybody out on poop. You ask Dawn, I'd be like, oh, let me see. Okay. So I'm really into poop. I'm really into whether or not you're sweating. Like, how are your detoxification channels? Are you aware of your lymph? Do you know how many you have? Do you know where they're at? Do you know what they do? So sometimes it's like our body's talking to us in a foreign language because we've kind of forgotten what those sounds, what the messages sound like when they're coming from the body. And then we're kind of disconnected from the results. We just, when was the last time you looked at your fingernails and your toenails and looked at the health of them? When was the last time that instead of just having dry skin on the body, you're like, it's winter, Chicago, it's dry. Of course we're going to have, skin that's cracky and ashy. No, that's a sign. I mean, your detoxification is going to be slowed down. If there's so many layers of dead skin, you're not going to sweat as easily as you would. So I'm not going to get into all of that, but so I think that you being able to have this time for yourself for a week, you were able to kind of deep dive into really listening to your body. And you walked away with some really handy resources that you would be able to use. One of the things, well, I'll have you put it in your words, but we talked about breath. We talked about when you work, holding your breath. So what did you learn about that?
Well, I knew I had a problem with holding my breath, and I didn't know how to overcome it, and
Mhm.
I really didn't know how important it was. And working with you, Paula, you helped me understand how that affects my physiology in general, and some great tips on how to and practices
Mhm.
to do that correctly, whether I'm exercising or just, relaxing. There's
Right.
different techniques to help you with that.
One of the things I think that we could talk about, which was really cool, is this idea that you were like, okay, I'm Italian. So anybody who knows me knows I love food. I love food in a big way. I just love food. Okay. And Dawn, I hope this is okay. I think this is okay for me to share. You were like, oh no, 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 no. I restrict what I eat. I don't want to eat too much. And what did you think about how, I mean, you ate so much more while you were with me than you generally ate, but you had a sense of calm in your body? Can you talk to a little bit about how that made you feel to nourish your body in a way that was so different, almost foreign to what you had been doing, what you had been taught, and how that restriction was part of the hold my breath when I work, the eat these little things really fast, but not eat too much. And I'm gonna shut up. You talk.
Yeah, so that's been my modus operandi, is that I thought, and I don't know why I continue to think it, but the less I ate, that would get me to lose weight and um, and feel healthier for some reason. So for me, I would have one meal a day. Um, was doing intermittent fasting. Sometimes I would have a second meal or a second snack, but then I'd always feel guilty, like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have ate that. So tomorrow I have to cut my calories in half. And I never looked at fiber, carbs, a protein. It was just kind of calories. And I was always hungry, always felt shaky, sick, and couldn't figure out why the heck I couldn't lose weight, because, I was like eating like 1,000 or 1,200 calories a day, and it just like wouldn't budge. And when I went to Paula's house, she's making me these gorgeous meals that taste amazing with whole foods. And I'm like, after the first meal, I'm like, I can't eat anymore today, Paula. I'm full. I'm stuffed. I can't eat anymore. I'm going to get fat. Like, no, let's eat
It,
another one. Let's eat another one. And I didn't get fat. I actually feel great. My brain fog has disappeared. I have incredible energy. Um, it's really exciting. And I have been able to come home and eat 3 meals a day, which I never do. 3 healthy whole food meals, watching, what's in there. And I feel incredible. And not only have I not gained weight, but I'm like starting to slowly creep down in a very healthy way, hopefully. So I'm just like, I've got goosebumps thinking about it because it's so exciting.
it's so funny. We restrict so many things in the name of well-being. And we actually need to open up to so much. Nourishing our bodies in a way that gives them life and that affirms them is important. And I'm not going to say that there isn't a place for fasting. There is. Okay. There is a place for it. But when you're in a constant state of starvation from food, from love, from feeling enough, all those things that we as women, oh, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not smart enough. Who am I to start a Ditch the Dogma YouTube channel? Who am I to be the head, second in head in charge of a networking organization? And then we think, okay, now I got this. Now I have to do it all. I have to do everything. And then I put myself at the bottom of the list. And so again, there's that starvation. I love it when women realize that we can eat good food and that our body will love us back, and that we can manage our glucose, and that we can do other things. I'm not talking about eating cake 3 times a day. And, Dawn and I talked a little bit, and there's books and things that I can recommend to anyone who's interested about, how to modulate glucose so that you can have your cake, so to speak, and eat it too once in a while to celebrate and be excited about something. But this idea that starvation is costing you pounds. It really is, because you're putting your body into a state of fight or flight. And that state induces more hormones that make us hold on to body fat. So even though you weren't eating, and I am not, and I'll make this really clear, I am not a registered dietitian. I am not a doctor. I have some very, very strong opinions about my own philosophy. And so if you want to learn about Seek, you'll learn what my interpretations, my beliefs are. Again, Seek is about you figuring out what's right for you. So there were many times when Dawn and I were in communication where Dawn would say, I don't know. And I would say, okay, this is what I believe. This is the science I have found. Here's a couple of books. And now you decide for yourself. Where does it resonate? Where does it not? And I thought it was interesting that you started to not only eat more, but also invite the idea of eating different foods. Can you speak on that a little bit?
So for me, and I realize this, again, this isn't what I do is what everybody else should do, because everybody's body is different. But for me, I learned that I was not eating near enough fiber, near enough protein, and I was loading up on carbs and not understanding the impact that that was having. Uh, and just having the knowledge to know what works for your body and what your goals are, instead of just like, oh, I'll try this, I'll try that, and having a strategic approach, and then shifting if you notice you're not getting the results that you want, and just really like curating your own experience. that means so much more to me than just reading a book and going and following their diet plan. It's
Yeah,
much more empowering.
I agree. And like for myself, I had a kidney stone that was the size of a golf ball. And long story, different another day, different show. I'll dive into that. But for me, it was because I was eating very, very healthy. I was eating probably 90% plant-based, and I was living on vegetables, unbeknownst to me, that were loaded with oxalates. And I wasn't eating dairy because I was trying to do, they're saying, there's always somebody telling you, eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this. It changes around every day. You wake up and the news will tell you something different. But at the time, I'm, trying to get away from dairy and dairy products. I didn't realize that oxalates bind to dairy. So the oxalates, I was eating all of these vegetables, and hey, I'm Italian. I told you I love food. So the salad was not this big. The salad was this big, excuse me as I hit my mic, because it was good for me. I could eat a really big salad because it was just vegetables. So I was eating all of these greens, and I was not eating the dairy, so the oxalates didn't have anything to bind to. And here I was, unhealthy because I did the right things. So there are a lot of good choices out there, but they're not necessarily good choices for you. And I think what's really important is that we play with these choices. If you eat a meal and then you don't sleep well that night, or whatever you chose to eat for the day, but let's just say you felt heavy that night and you didn't sleep well. Well, maybe there was a food in there that didn't really sit well with you. And it doesn't have to be something you're allergic to. It doesn't have to be something that you like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to have quinoa again. It bloated me. It just means that maybe right now quinoa is something we should pass up until we're feeling a little bit better. Maybe it's just too much, at one time, and it gunks you up and it caused constipation. But once you're eating the vegetables, once you're doing all the other things, well, then the quinoa is, no big deal. Then maybe it's the beans that you have to navigate and figure out what beans work with you, what beans don't work with you. I think it's so important, and the journey that I've been on, and this is the thing, as somebody who has done this, I became a health coach back in 2009. Um, I was a part of a raw food movement. As far as my health coaching back in the day when I went back in 2009, it was all about diets. I mean, I literally would have quizzes like on 100 different diets. That was part of the certification process. Do you know the diet? So that when a woman comes to you and she has selected a diet, you need to know about that diet. There was no education. There's more now. And even doctors slowly but surely are starting to get this, that what works for one person more than likely is not going to work for the next. And that's why we keep feeding this monster that I call the wellness industry. We're up to like $5.4 trillion. Yet we are sick. As a population, we are sick, but we spend trillions of dollars a year on well-being that's not on wellness, that's not serving our well plus being. And I say the plus because I want to be well, I want to have energy, I want to have the stuff, but I also want to be in a good place. I want my heart to be in the right place. I don't want to be stuck in my head and all that negative clatter shit that, we all have to work out and kind of move past. And looking at food, looking at movement, looking at breath, bringing in a little bit of science, it all adds up. And so I know we're getting a little winded here, but so you had this experience, you learned about heart rate variability and about managing glucose. You learned kind of how foods nourished you, the ones that loved you back, the ones that didn't, because maybe they sent your glucose flying and or dropping, depends on wherever you're on and you're at in that spectrum. What was something that, what about the breath work? What about paying attention to your breath? I know we talked a little bit about, you're holding your breath, but now that you're home, do you feel like you're able to, I guess what I'm saying is you learned a whole bunch of things, but did you get home with the information that you needed to continue on your journey? Do you think that you had that?
Yeah, I think I have the foundation to continue on my journey, and I realize it's up to me to continue that research. I I'm looking for a sign to put above my desk that says breathe,
Oh, I
because
love it.
I still struggle with that. There are times where I've put aside that I'm going to intentionally do some breath work, but I know I'm so aware that I'm holding my breath still. So that's something that I'm going to make a priority to work through.
That's
And
great.
um
Little tip, little tip. I think I told you this, but we'll share it with anybody who's listening. Breathing through a straw is really, really helpful if you're the type of person that holds their breath. There we go. So I have one. I don't have it on my desk at the moment. It's a really pretty one that I bought online. That's a necklace that I can wear it around my neck as a reminder to not hold my breath and to breathe. But you can get at, they used to have them at Bed Bath and Beyond, and we don't have those in the Chicagoland area anymore. But I'm sure you can get it at Target. They're collapsible straws, and they're like 99 cents. And so I keep one in my purse. I keep one on my nightstand. I keep one, I don't have it on my desk, so it's not serving me here. So I can't show it to you. But it's this idea wherever I might be holding my breath, I can put that straw in while I'm working, and then it reminds me to take a deep breath. What's also really cool is it's hard to breathe in and out of a straw. It's not easy. So if you're prone to anxiety, if you have a hard time sleeping at night, it's also deregulating your breath. So not breathing is way bad. Okay. But most of us, like when we're working, if we're not breathing, then we might be like anxious of like, oh, is this email good enough? Or, did my boss like what I just did? Or my kids need me and my phone is ringing off the hook and I need to get into a meeting and we're stressed out. So that straw also plays a role in helping us downregulate our breath. Really, really cool, great tool for anxiety. And it's something that it's inexpensive. You don't have to go on retreat to learn about it. And anybody can have it. One of the pieces with Seek that I really love is that in addition to the retreat process, we have an online component where you can meet with a group of women once a week. And we do it on Sunday nights. And it's like a great way to just kind of start off your week. It's not about Paula, what am I supposed to do this week? It's about you taking ownership, but knowing that you're not in it alone, because shit happens and it gets complicated. Life gets complicated, and it's nice to know that you've got other women, kind of like your networking group, that we have other women that are holding us to our commitments and are supporting us, not shaming us if we screw up, because we're human. But then there's also that kind of push to learn the new things, to read the books. Um, and so what are your goals moving forward? Have you kind of thought about that on what you really, what are you looking at the end of the year? You've been seeking for a year. What do you hope will be totally different, that will evolve, or just be I don't know. What are your expectations for the year?
so I already like really like the feeling I have on the foods that I'm eating without all the carbs and pasta. So I'm feeling
Okay.
like that's really good for my body, and I just want to continue learning the different foods that I can use as a substitute for
Mhm.
the breads and the pasta. Not that I'm not going to have any bread or pasta, because I'll have that, but not as like the main thing that I eat every day.
Mhm.
So just continuing on that journey of learning what foods love my body. And the other very important thing is um, my relationship with my husband and my daughter. Just it we're very very intense, go sports. My husband's exercise, I'm work. uh we're just like really intense. So being there to be a guide for them, to like, let's relax and let's connect as a family. After I got back from retreat, we've had meals every day at the table together. and we've been talking more openly about our feelings, our thoughts, and they're really liking it and they're loving the food. I wasn't the person who made the food before. It was my husband. He was the cook, and he has told me that I am now the chef. So I have a new responsibility, and I'm going to love it and embrace it and become the best I can be. And um, the other thing I realized is that my body, from past trauma, is just very stiff, and I'm not very flexible, and I think that that's affecting my circulation. So finding a program that's going to gently move my body and get me more flexible and more strong. And I want to thank you, Paula, because I I have hired a couple, like, physical you're I know you're not a physical
Mm-mm.
trainer, but I have hired some, in the past, and they worked me till I was, like, crying in tears on the ground. Even though they knew about my injuries and everything, they just pushed me so hard, and I gave up because it was just overwhelming. You just allowed me to learn about my body, what I could and couldn't do, push it a little bit, and just let you never pushed me, and I was so grateful for that because I felt like I hadn't been honored that way in the past. Um, so yeah, so thank you. So those are, I'm sure there's tons more I want to do, tons more goals, but I just want to continue learning and being happy and loving myself and loving my family.
One of the things that we worked on, I love to cook, and I'm a pretty darn good cook, but I don't use recipes. And so that was one of the things that we talked about during the week. It's this idea of just looking at meal preparation as an art. And even when we don't have time, there were plenty of times when we were moving from one session to another and we weren't able to labor over a meal. But the meal was made with love, the meal was made with fresh foods, and I'm really big on overdoing my portion so that, dinner turns into the side portion of lunch. A raw salad gets heated up, in my breakfast eggs. And so introducing ways to, because I know how much you love plants, to be able to have beautiful meals that are like, okay, if you're Instagrammy and you like to take your pictures, I promise you the way that I introduce foods will make you take pictures of everything. It's amazing. You get the flavors that come together. And again, we're learning that we're nourishing our bodies. And I so believe we hear a lot about how we need supplements because the soil's not what it once was. And we need supplements because of the air, and we need supplements because of this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not denouncing that. But the majority of the reason we need supplements is because of Doritos, Coca-Cola, fast food. We're not, even though our food is not nearly as nutrient rich as it was in the 50s when the soil was different. It's a heck of a lot more nutrient than anything that's processed and in a box. And so we ate beautiful meals 3 times a day that looked like they were a whole bunch of work when they weren't. And all those different colors, so much different variety. And that is huge. I really believe that sleep, huge sleep. If sleep is an issue for you, figure it out. Find someone like me, find a girlfriend. There's so many resources out there. Come in to Seek because we talk about sleep a lot. And then food. Those two things. If we can get control of those two things, oh baby, we can work on the pain, we can work on the physical. I'm a movement instructor. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm really big on barefoot science, and I can tell you lots of things about that. And as a yoga teacher and a vibrational plate trainer, I do yoga inversion. So lots of inversion work, which we didn't get to that, but that'll be the next retreat. I'm so excited that we had this time together. I just wanted to really quick before we say goodbye to Dawn, I wanted to share my screen really quickly, and let's see if I can actually do it and make it work, because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And let's see if I can make this work. There we go. So this is my website, and anybody who wants to learn about me, please head on over to ditchthedogma.com. and learn about me. We've got some workshops that are coming up in March. So our March workshops, by the way, happen every second and fourth Monday of the month at noon and at 7 p.m. It's the same workshop. I really don't. Oh, there goes the thumbs up. Every once in a while I do that and then I can't figure it out. They're at the same workshop. So it's offered at noon and at 7 p.m. just to meet your schedule so that you can fit it in. It's always the second and fourth. They're $10. We're going to be talking about the Beyond the Scale on March 11th, which is all about hip to waist ratio. That like screw the scale, ladies. I could go, oh my gosh, I could do an episode. I will. I'm going to do an episode on why we have to we burned bras. If you're old enough, we're going to burn scales next, right? Let's get rid of the scales and talk about hip to waist ratio. And then on March 25th, we're going to dive into heart rate variability, which is something that Dawn and I talked about a little bit, and I can't explain it in 30 seconds, but it's basically your autonomic response between your heartbeats. And it plays a huge role in sleep and in and weight, and the weight we hold on our body, burning fat, burning sugars, all of the things. It really plays a big role in our heart health. I've had some issues, kidney, organ health, just all of it in our brain. So important for our brain. And then in April, I do have one up. Oops, I got the wrong. Oh, no, wrong. Okay. Sorry, folks. This is what you shows when you show your screen and you don't have your website up correctly. So we do have one coming up on April 8th as well, but the artwork is incorrect. So here we have the 2 workshops in March. And then if you want to have a seat at all of our workshops every month, you can actually join a workshop subscription. It's the same amount of money. You're not saving or losing anything. I don't want to do those deals where you get 2 free. It kind of, to me, pushes a woman to spend money that she doesn't have at the moment so she can get the 2 free. I'd rather make my products economical and then give you the option of registering every month or taking one of the things off your to-do list and know that you're registered for either the noon time or the 7 p.m. on the second and fourth Monday throughout the year, and you pay that annually. And then the last thing that I wanted to show you really quick while we just have a second here is our membership offers. So Dawn was on retreat. Retreat happens once a year in February. But there's also different ways that you can be a part of the Ditch the Dogma community and actually learn more about Seek. So I told you about the Ditch the Dogma Insider. That's just our workshop subscription so that you don't have to register every month and you're in your workshops. Then we have the Seek membership, which is a 12-month program for women. And if you go to the website, it breaks it all down. It's $25 a month, $300 annually. And I'll here, if we just go really quick over to my homepage, we can show you really what we're focusing on for the year is a lot. And it's pretty simple here. So I'll just run through it. We're understanding wellness beliefs and their origins, redefining your wellness beliefs so they're on your terms, not your girlfriend's, not your mother's, not somebody else's. Sustaining a connection to God, self, and the healer within, because that's what I believe the body is. Integrating self-discovery tools that develop self-awareness. We got to know where we're starting in order to get to where we want to go. Discovering foods that love us back, learning to prepare delicious foods without recipes, building self-acceptance practices that lead to self-love. Because I'm not one of those people that's like about the affirmations. I still feel like a fool every time I get in front of the mirror and I'm like, trying to talk. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So it takes time. And so for me, building self-acceptance leads to self-love. And it just feels more genuine to me. If you're good about affirmations, more power to you. It's just something that I struggle with. We'll reframe body acceptance with a lens of longevity. I'm never going to tell a woman that her body defines her or her worth. Absolutely freaking not. But if you want to live to be 100 and your organs can't breathe, that is going to have an outcome. And so I really want us to love our bodies, love us where we're at, but love us enough that we're willing to go that extra mile for our bodies and actually take care of it so we get the longevity that we deserve and that our purposes and missions need. I want to focus on building daily habits, not perfection. creating bespoke approaches with routines that adapt and evolve. If you've been doing the same old, you're not the same woman you were in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. I'm going into 60s, right? We change and our routines need to change. We talk about resetting circadian rhythm to improve overall well being and sleeping better, eliminating those never ending sugar cravings, getting rid of that, balancing hormones, really focusing on strength of the body more than, a size on the scale or a dress size or pant size, increasing mental clarity, focus, and overall neurological health. That is a passion of mine because of the Alzheimer's in my family. Aiming for zone 2 cardio, like we don't have to do hit. We don't have to kill ourselves. We just need to move our bodies. Maybe once a week, do something really hard just for resilience, just to prove that you can flip and do it, you weren't afraid of it. And then breathing exercises. So these are all the different things that we're going to focus on throughout the year. So if you'd like to join us, that's what the year-long program for Seek is all about. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen if I can get
And
my cursor. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Paul,
Dawn.
Paula, when you asked me, what do you want for the year? And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I want so much. And I just couldn't put it into words. But, reading these bullets, it's like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want to learn for the whole year. All of these things, they, and that's part of the reason why I love working with you, is because those are the things I intuitively feel are going to make a difference in my life.
And I 100%, this doesn't happen overnight. This doesn't happen in 6 weeks or 3 months. Honestly, I think it takes a year just to figure out that these things are flipping important. And, I've been on my seeking journey, this methodology for the last 2 years. It was birthed out of some really horrible health experiences that I went through, shortly after, COVID. And I was doing all the right things. I had a great BMI and my scale number looked phenomenal. And I was burning fat and I was eating all the right foods and I was working out and I was doing all the thing. I ended up with that kidney stone, like I told you about. And then because my kidney was under duress, then my blood pressure went like through the roof. It was like 220 over 120. And I was just so frustrated because I'm like, I'm doing all the things, damn it. I was like, what the heck? And then my doctors were like, oh, well, you're a stroker croaker. We don't know what to do with you because you have checked off all the boxes. Obviously, it doesn't work for you. And that was really hard for me. Like I said, that's where that being in that engine with, being up at the top of the train with the conductor or sitting in the caboose. For a little bit after that, I went, like, into the caboose. I was like, "Okay, screw this. I don't get it." I did all the things. Somehow I ended up on some weird track. And what I really realized was that I was doing the things to check the boxes so I could be a certain size, so I could look a certain way in an article of clothing. I wasn't enjoying myself at celebratory events because of course they had food that wasn't clean enough or good enough. I didn't know how to be really present because when we're restricting so many things in our lives, where's joy in that? And so I got kicked in the keister really, really bad and laid flat for a good year with all of these health issues and running to the emergency room and having to have procedures and all of this stuff. And what I really figured out was that it isn't about what I do, and it isn't even so much about what I know because the science is always changing. It's pure and simply making myself a priority to love myself in a way that is genuinely caring for my body. Any of us who have kids, we know what that is. When you give up everything for your kid, we get that. And we know what that feels like. And we wear that as a badge of honor. But where is that in caring for ourselves? And that's what I want to invite women to do with Seek. It's new. It's good. It's something that was recently birthed. I'm kind of mothering it right now and bringing it to existence. So I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll join Dawn and I and be a part of the community. Find out what you need to seek. What is your life's purpose? And how different would your life be if you totally loved yourself, cared for yourself, and made that a priority? To me, it makes me an exceptional wife, a way better wife than I ever was. It makes me an exceptional mother. And I thought I was a damn good mother to begin with. But you know what? I wasn't teaching my kids resilience. They were seeing me haggard and tired and doing all the things and crabby. Things got done, but now I'm showing them what real resilience looks like. And I want to be around. So my brain health is so, so important. If all of this matters to you, I hope that you will come and check out Seek. And Dawn, do you have any last words you want to share with us? I know I start talking, then I can't shut up. We've been on for like an hour and 10 minutes. If anybody's watched this,
Wow.
I feel sorry. I feel sorry for them.
No, not at all. I love talking with you, Paula, so much. So yeah, last thoughts. I've been for the with Paula, and the week after, I've been celebrating all of these little wins. And sometimes I feel guilty, like maybe I shouldn't be celebrating this little win. But it's so exciting, and it's helping me to, like embrace this more and more and more. But I see that as just a little piece of the puzzle to making me a happy, well-rounded person, because all those little wins, when they come in, are making me feel so much better and so much happier. Why not celebrate them? So
And
I
you're wearing it. I have to tell you. And ladies, when you get to know me, you'll figure this out. One, I can't shut up. I always have a second point. But the thing is that you look beautiful. Restricting
thank you.
food makes wrinkles. It really does. It makes wrinkles physiologically because you're not hydrated. We need water. We need the nutrients. We need that water in the cucumber and that water in the celery and the water that we drink. And we need that. It poofs up our skin. It makes our skin look more beautiful. And it also gives you a glow. So I can tell that you're still drinking your water. Yay, yay, yay. I'm so excited
Yeah.
about that. We really, when we're doing it right internally, it shows up externally in so many profound ways, not just in beauty, but hey, we're ladies, right? It's a part of it. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of how we put our best self, our best skin on and go into the world. So thank you for taking this time to join us. Thank you for telling us about WESOS. And if anybody is interested in joining a network association that really empowers women, WESOS network is the one that you want to check out. And I hope next year, February 2024, that you will be on retreat with Dawn and I. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we'll see you next Wednesday live on the Ditch the Dogma show. See ya.